Hello and welcome to the history of movie theaters from Memphis, Tennessee, for 1890 to 1919. 1890. On September 22nd, the Grand Opera House opens. 1894. The Lyceum Theater opened on December 3rd. 1896. A demonstration of the cinematograph takes place. 1905. The Theatorium, the first full-time cinema, opens. It later became First Majestic Theater. 1906. These theaters opened in 1906. 1907. The Amuse at 146N Main opens. These theaters also opened in 1907. On December 23rd, the Grand Opera House becomes the Orpheum. These theaters closed in 1907. 1908. November 16th, Jefferson Theater. These theaters also opened in 1908. These theaters closed in 1908. Here are the changes for 1908. 1909. On December 26th, the Tulane Theater opens. The Dixie Theater at 112 South Main closes. 1910. The Colonial at 98 North Main opens. It closed later in the year. The Tulane Theater closes. The Ruby becomes the Star Theater. 1911. The Alamo Theater opens. The Old Dreamland Theater becomes the Majestic No. 4 and closes by the end of the year. The new Majestic No. 1 opens. The Royal Theater opens. On June 16th, the Jefferson Theater becomes the Lyric. 1912. On August 5th, the Princess Theater opened. These theaters also opened in 1912. These theaters closed in 1912. 1913. On April 27th, the Majestic No. 2 opens. The Empire No. 1 and the Majestic No. 5 also opens. On February 13th, the Lyceum becomes the Lowe's Lyceum Theater. 1914. These theaters opened in 1914. The Palace Theater at 135 North Main closes. 1915. These theaters opened in 1915. The Alamo Theater closed. 1916. These theaters closed in 1916. 1917. The Grand Theater opens. The Pastime and the Poplar Theaters closes. Loews takes over the Princess on December 23. 1918. The Beauty Theater closes. The Metropolitan Theater becomes the Venus Theater. 1919. The Majestic No. 1 becomes the Savoy Theater. The Majestic No. 2 Theater becomes the Strand Theater. The Palace Theater at 324 Beale is opened for Afro-Americans. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.